Welcome to the CT Educator Podcast. I am your host, Karina Hogan. I am a registered CT technologist with 20 years of experience and knowledge. I help new CT technologists level up their CT training so that you can become a successful technologist. I'm also a mom and committed to sharing my knowledge and expertise to help you build your confidence, know the CT basics so that you can deliver quality patient care. So let's get into it. Hello. Welcome back, wonderful technologists. Welcome back to the podcast. 2025. I am super excited to get back into talking to you guys on the podcast, getting back into the show. I got so much stuff to tell you guys, okay? First, I hope you guys have had a very good start to your 2025. I know I have. I took a month off and just to kind of regroup, get the YouTube channel going. YouTube channel is live. So make sure you go check that out. So there have been a lot of exciting things happening on the CT Educator podcast that I'm super excited to tell you about. So let's get into some housekeeping before we get into today's episode. So a few things is the YouTube channel is now live. You can see all the past podcast video episodes of the CT Educator on YouTube. So make sure you check out the show notes for everything that I'm going to talk about here in the beginning so that you can get in on all the action. So those are long form videos of all the podcast episodes I've recorded. Those are all the video portions of the podcast. So make sure that you subscribe to the CT Educator podcast and get in on the action on YouTube. Okay. Second thing is I am going to be hosting a live event. Okay. So we are going to be talking about specifically on patient centering. So it's a 2-day live event. All the details will be in the show notes. So this is coming in the third week of February. So I'm just trying to lock down the dates because I have to make sure that I am not working at the hospital so I can go ahead and teach you guys that. So by the time this airs, those dates will be in the show notes, okay? So I'm trying to lock down the dates to make sure that I am available so I can go ahead and get you guys in on how to make sure that you center your patients properly. So this live event is going to be on YouTube. So it's going to be a YouTube live, as most of you have requested that. So make sure you check out the show notes and sign up for the live event, okay? This is not a YouTube live that's going to be broadcasted to the public. So this is going to be a private link. So in order to get on all the action, you got to sign up for the live event, okay? So it's 2 days, jam-packed. I'm going to teach you all about patient centering. It's going to be good stuff. So get your asses in there and come to the live event, okay? Next thing is that I have opened 10 spots into my coaching program. So I've done a little revamping. The names have changed. So I have a 6-month group coaching program, the CT Blueprint. If you've purchased my ebook in the past, it is the same name. So you can come into my community. I'm going to coach and mentor you for 6 months. Going to be dropping lots of voice notes in my private Slack channel. You will have a course portal where you will have a bunch of trainings. I am going to be doing a live training every single week. So make sure you get on all the action. So I am taking 10 students in my program. Okay. So the price for the coaching program is $5,000. There is a payment plan. All the information is in the show notes. So come and get coached by me. Come be the go-to CT tech. It's good shit, guys. Okay. So make sure you get in on that. So I also have a CT Basics and Concepts course. So if you just need like a refresher or just something to start you off with, that is $350. Everything is in the show notes. You can go in. There's a bunch of trainings in there. There's 3 courses in that whole entire course. Okay. So I've taken 3 of my most popular courses, made it into one. You can go ahead and just binge that and watch that on demand at your own pace. Next thing is I've devised a 90-day program, which is specifically for techs have been in the business for 3 to 5 years and you're interested in traveling, because that is one of the most common questions that I get in my DMs. Hey, Do you think you can get me prepared so I can take a traveling contract? Abso-fucking-lutely. Okay. So I have devised a 90-day program. It's specifically for traveling CT techs where I get you up to speed on, what you need to know as far as accepting contracts, negotiation, just a little bit about how to make sure that you're ready for day one and be ready to scan. So that program is 90 days with me. Okay. I will drop probably a live training once a month as far as that. And I'm going to be giving you a lot of voice notes and stuff in my private Slack community. That program is $1,500. That also has a payment plan. So all the information is in the show notes, guys. So make sure you guys check all that stuff out. Also, I drop a lot of educational stuff. So make sure you guys follow me on TikTok. So at the CT Educator, because I drop a lot of good stuff, protocols every single week. So make sure you check that out. I also repurpose that into Instagram. So you can follow me on both of those social platforms. Okay. So let's get into today's episode. So today's episode is we're going to be talking about traveling CT techs. This is a very hot topic right now. And it is something that is like really trending. I know I didn't take any travel assignments because at that time I was still kind of building up my career, but it would have been a good career path. However, I did have children and I was married. So especially with that, and I do have special needs kids, that just wasn't in the cards for me. But I have learned and gotten a lot of feedback as far as how to be prepared and what you need to know. Now, traveling as far as, radiology techs, IR, CT seems to be popular, MRI, all the modalities is a really hot market right now. And there's a lot of contracts that are out there for techs to secure, whether it's, 13 weeks, if it's, 6 weeks, whatever the case is. Okay. Usually the contracts are typically 13 weeks. There's a 10-week assignment that I've seen doing my homework as far as what's out there on the job market. Okay. And they do offer a lot of, transparency when it comes to pay as far as what you would be getting paid. A lot of those recruiting companies do have a lot of good benefit packages and you can be making like some serious fucking money. Okay. I'm even thinking about it and just doing it locally, not traveling, to another state, but doing it locally because there's a lot of local contracts in my state that I live in. So these are my tips on if you're thinking about possibly being a traveling CT tech, that's something that interests you. These are my tips that I would recommend that I think will make you a little bit more successful and make the transition very easy. So the first tip that I have for you is what I highly, strongly suggest and recommend is if you have an interest to being a traveling CT tech, make sure you have at least 2 to 3 years of CT experience under your belt. Okay. Because what I've seen is I've seen a lot of new CT techs start out and they're still just trying to figure it out. And they're not as successful as if you would have taken the time to gain some experience, gain some knowledge, continue your education. So when you're still fairly new, CT is very complex and it's very challenging and it can overwhelm you and burn you out very fast. So I highly recommend all you CT techs listening to this episode, listening to the show, make sure you guys have at least a few years of experience under your belt because this will really help you and you can negotiate contracts a little bit better and pay. Okay. So that is like the strongest recommendation that I would have. Okay. Because our modality is very complex and a lot of these traveling assignments, they have the expectation, whatever facility you go to, they have the expectation that you are ready to scan on day one. Okay. A lot of places will give you a couple of weeks training, maybe 3 weeks training. It's usually like 2 weeks to kind of get you up to speed because all they're going to do is tell you, okay, this is the CT scanner we have. This is where everything is. These are our policy and procedures. These are our protocols. all the basic stuff that you need to know. And usually they have a checklist and saying, okay, yes, this person can do X, Y, and Z, right? So that is the expectation that they have. So if you are not prepared, do not take a traveling assignment until you are 100% just grounded and you know your basic shit in CT, you know your bread and butter exams, and you know how to execute them correctly. Okay. The second thing is adapting to a new environment, because these traveling contracts, either people take them in different states. They'll be, let's say, for example, in California for 13 weeks, and then they're in Texas the next 13 weeks. Okay. So adapting to a new environment is sometimes difficult for people. So make sure you have a strategy on how you adapt to a new environment. When you walk into a new assignment, collaborating with the techs, with other departments, with physicians, and making sure that you ask the questions that you need to so that you can get a better understanding on how you're going to execute your job, and making sure that you do those exams correctly and give the patients the best care possible, right? So knowing, the physicians, getting to talk to them, getting to work with them, because we're all a team at the end of the day. Now, the third and final tip that I have is always ask questions when it comes to your contractual agreements and the assignments. So what I mean by that is make sure you get all the details and read your contracts all the way through. Okay. Know how many weeks your contract is going to be. Typically, it's 13 weeks. That's what I've seen as, that's the trending thing. Okay. I know they're shorter contracts, maybe longer, maybe they extend you, things like that. I know at my hospital, we have had quite a few travelers. Some were excellent, some not so much, but it just depends, when they interview these candidates, right? Make sure you ask about benefit packages, pay, if you can negotiate pay. Do they provide stipends for meals, and do they provide housing? Those are all good questions to ask. And also with this tip is make sure you don't always go for the first, contract that pops up and, oh, this looks great. A lot of us get that shiny object syndrome. Don't always do that, because the first deal may not be the best. It could be the last one or the fourth one. So make sure you get at least 2 or 3 options as far as contractual assignments, so that you can, make sure you get the pay that you're, wanting. Okay. And making sure that, as far as benefits and stipends and housing and things like that, that aligns with, what you want and where you want to be. So those are a few tips that I have as far as being prepared, what you need to know, because they have the expectation that if you're a traveler, that your shit. Okay. I can't tell you that as many travelers as I have come across in my career as a CT technologist, some needed more training and some shouldn't have been doing traveling assignments. But I think what happens is that, there's a lot of transparency when it comes to money and saying, oh, well, I can make this amount. Yes, that's great. But you also have to be able to do the job. Okay. You also have to be able to be good at it. And because if they extend you, or let's say, for example, they want to hire you as part of their staff, which that has happened, at my hospital, where we had one, he was really, really good. And yeah, we did hire him. But unfortunately, because he lived in a different state and he was commuting back and forth, well, he ended up taking, a prior position that offered him more money, and he kind of quit traveling for a bit. So that's what I mean, to make sure that you exercise all your options. Okay. And make sure you get those years of experience under your belt so that you're prepared, because they expect you to be ready to scan on day one. Okay. So that is the episode I have for you today. I love to make my episodes nice and bite-sized, short, so, you can get the just most useful information, because I love to give you guys information I do not gatekeep on this show. So make sure you guys come to the live event. Check out the show notes. Follow me on TikTok and Instagram. Make sure you get into my coaching program, or if the 90-day program is for you, make sure you guys sign up for the programs. Okay. It's good stuff. You'll come into my container and you will get access to me and all my information in my brain. Okay. So thank you so much to all of you that have made it possible for me to make these episodes and make this show successful. I am so grateful for all you guys that listen, that share, that subscribe to the podcast. So make sure you tell your friends, share this episode, make sure you leave a comment, leave a 5-star review, and come over to YouTube and subscribe to the CT Educator where you get all the long form video content. Okay. So thank you so much for joining me on this episode, and I will chat with you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you would like to share your CT experience, have an interesting story to share, or need help in your CT training, please email me your questions at contact@thecteducator.com. Follow along on Instagram at the CT Educator, also on Facebook at the CT Educator. Don't forget to like, share, leave a 5-star review, as this will help support the show and it'll reach all of you that need guidance. Thank you for listening and happy scanning.